Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Read and Write with Natasha. I am very happy to have with me today author Sarah Humphreys, who lives in Utah and is a die-hard fantasy nerd that cannot stop talking about dragons and anime. So, what makes Sarah special is that she's a teenager and she already has a published novel, and I'm so excited to talk with her about it. So, Sarah, while trying to get through high school by burying herself in Japanese TV shows and creating her own words and characters, she actually managed to publish this book, Stone Cold. Very impressive. So, Sarah, she does make friends, but only with people who can stand her habit of constantly talking during movies to critique the plot. So, Sarah, I'm so happy to have you here with me and welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good, good. So, Sarah, before we get started, I would just wanted you to tell the viewers and the listeners about your most recent published novel, Stone Cold. So, if you can tell us briefly about it, and the floor is yours.
Okay. It's a young adult fantasy, and there's some romance in there, and it's about a kingdom where everyone wears enchanted stones that take away emotion, but there are some people that the stones don't work on, so those people are hunted down and executed. So the main character is one of those people that the stones don't work on. So she has to hide herself, pretend to be emotionless, and she's the princess of this kingdom. So all eyes are on her. She's a royal, but she can still be executed. And so it's basically her story of dealing with expressing herself and her anxiety in this very toxic environment. And there's some romance in there with a guard and a prince because that's YA and I like that trope. And that's the book.
Ah, cool. I love YA. And as you can tell, I'm not a young adult. Uh, I'm middle age, but YA is the best. So, how did you get the idea for this novel?
Well, almost everything that I write is based off of the books that I read and the TV shows that I watch. I watch a lot of TV. It's a problem. But because I watch a lot of TV, I get a lot of ideas and I'm exposed to new character arcs and plots. So one thing that I really liked with this book is that I took like a medieval fantasy kingdom with magic and added in like kind of like a dystopian esque emotionless society because I like shows that have that plot line in it. Books like The Giver, Delirium, Four Dead Queens, those books. I've read a lot of books where something human is taken away from the main characters, and that's really cool. I like to explore that, and so that's where the idea came from.
Hmm. How many books do you read a month, a week, a day? uh,
It varies dramatically because during school I read in all my classes.
okay.
Yeah, I don't pay attention. Well, I do pay attention. I just I just read a lot, especially since I have 4 English classes. So
Oh, wow.
the English classes usually have like, oh, 15 minutes of reading at the beginning of the class, and everyone's like, oh, come on, seriously? And I'm like, yes, I can read, and I don't have to worry about paying attention to what the teacher is saying.
You know, I'm recording this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's good.
Um, But, so
Um,
I read a lot during the school year. I'm trying to read a lot during the summer too. I just finished a book series that I really like, so I think I'll start another one soon.
which series?
It's it's from the Grishaverse, Six
Yeah.
of Crows, King of
Ah,
Scars, Shadow and Bone, like that universe.
okay.
And I just finished the King of Scars duology.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So you're what we would call a teen author. So how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Actually, I am 18 right now.
Oh, you're an adult.
Yeah, yeah. I'm still a teenager, but I started the book when I was 15, and I got a contract when I was 16, and now I'm 18. Publishing a book takes a long time.
I know. So okay, so I'm curious. I talk with a lot of authors on this podcast, and all of them, the majority of them, they pitch to agents. It's taking them a really hard time to find one. They've been doing it for years. Some of them just go to the route of self-publishing or go with small press that don't require an agent. How did you get one so fast? I'm assuming it fast since you're only
Uh, uh,
15. How
yeah.
did you pitch to many? How did the whole thing happen?
Uh, um, yeah, I have talked to a lot of authors, and the path to publishing is paved with blood and broken manuscripts and tears.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Well, luckily for me, I found an option that's a little more kid friendly, as it may
Okay.
be. So I was actually really lucky though eh, because I had a next door neighbor that went through a writing program called the Calliope Inner Circle, and it was run by Angie Fenimore, who is a New York Times bestselling author. And what happened is that anyone who was interested in writing and had enough money could like come in and learn how to write a book from her and learn how to pitch, and that was incredibly helpful. Someone who actually sat me down and taught me how to write a query letter and
Okay.
how to talk to people and how to establish relationships. Like a lot of people who are published nowadays are published because they know somebody and they're able to make connections and like know the right people and be able to publish that way, because agents are a lot more likely to accept you if you know them and you have credibility with them. At least that's what I've learned. So at the end of this 6 month program, I was a little 15-year-old and I had to write a book while going to school and then interacting with all of these adults that were a lot older than me. And eventually I got to the end of the program and I had this day called the Crucible, which was all of us pitching to agents that Angie knew. And that was terrifying.
Was it face to face or was it
Uh, it
online?
was over Zoom, but
Yeah.
Angie was basically saying, "Okay, you go in, you do your pitch. They say yes, they say no. You go out, you sit down, you wait for like 5 more hours, and then we have another agent for you, and you go in again."
Okay.
So she was saying, "Treat this as the interview of your life because it is, and the bathrooms are over there. You can throw up, no judgment." So that was what the day was like. I actually pitched to one agent who was Richard Paul Evans' agent. She said no. I went outside into the car and cried. And then I went back because I had to pitch to more people.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did actually get a full manuscript request from an agent, thankfully, from Morgan James Publishing, and that was how I got accepted. And I was able to edit the book and get feedback from people, which is an entirely different kind of monster in the first place.
Yeah.
Getting
Yeah.
editing, and I had to do that 2020 over the summer. So that was a hard year for everyone. um,
So,
but
okay, sorry. So I'm just curious. So you took the writing program, or it was like a writing workshop, and
mhm,
as like at the end of the workshop, there was an event where you would meet with agents, and then you pitched, and then you got a request for a full manuscript from one of the agents. You sent it to them, and he accepted or she accepted.
yep, that was how it happened.
Wow. And so you never actually went through the process of cold pitching.
No, thankfully, because that would be hard and terrifying, and I know that a lot of authors have done that, and commend to them.
Okay. So, how unique are you in the fact that how many 15-year-olds out there who actually have an agent published a book. I don't think there are many. I mean, am I mistaken? Or do you guys have a community called the Teenagers Club?
It would be cool if we did, yeah.
So, do you know others who've done that?
No, I have heard of other teenage authors who have gotten traditionally published, but I don't know them personally.
Okay. So, okay, so let's go back in time. And how did you get started? Like, for example, with my kids, I like to take them to the library and we talk, but the idea of them committing to writing a book now with all the distractions of, the social media and the video games, and, and their friends are not doing that, so there's this also this this peer pressure. So, how can I make my my daughter or my son publish a book? Tell me, give me some tips.
Well, I'm not sure. Because I I'm not the right person to give advice for that because I started writing when I was like 3 or 4 or 5. I couldn't even write yet. I just went up to my mom and I asked her to write the words that I had in my head, and then I would draw the pictures on the little like paper booklet, and then I would staple the pages together, and those were my first books. So
Okay.
I've been writing for that long, and then I got access to a computer, and then I started typing out my books. They were very short and very bad, but I was writing. um and that's basically it. I mean, I've written for my entire life. That's something that's really appealing to me. I love fantasy, I love adventures and magic, and I always found that more interesting than the real world where physics and gravity is a thing and must be obeyed.
Yeah.
Uh, so, yeah, it's always been my dream to be a published author because, if I'm good at something, might as well make a career out of it.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, everyone knew that. Everyone who knows me knew that for a while. And so when the opportunity arose to go into the writing program, when I was doing high school for the first time, which was terrifying, but I did it, and here I am now.
So, any of your parents or immediate family members, are any of them into writing and reading, or just only you?
No, not really. I mean, they do like reading if they have the time. Mostly it's just my friends that I have. I have a writing group, and
Ah,
all of them are interested in writing. They're also artists, which is unfair because that means that they are authors who can draw their characters and do fan art, which I can't do, and that's not fair.
so how did I'm assume like you're famous at your high school. How did that fame affect you, that make you more popular, or just curious, how does the dynamic now, because high schools are not an easy place to navigate.
Yeah, uh, well, yeah, at my high school at least, I actually got a shout out on morning announcements. It's like, our sports team have won the state championship for the 10th time in a row. This sports team, this and the, oh my gosh, I have such a sporty school. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The girls lacrosse team took a medal, and then Sarah Humphreys published her own book. Congratulations! And then that was the morning announcements.
Okay.
Yeah, so sometimes I had people like come up to me and be like, "Hey, you're Sarah. That's cool." And I'm like, "I don't know you, but thanks." I don't know, as popular as a very socially anxious, doesn't talk to many people teenager can get at high school, but a lot of people did know me and they were happy for me, which was nice. I actually graduated from high school a couple days ago, and I
Oh,
got a shout
congrats.
out at graduation.
Oh,
So
wow.
that was amazing.
Yeah. So, has any of them read the book?
Uh-huh. A lot of people have read the book. Actually, in my English class, um, English 12, there was my teacher for the final project had to made us read a book and then do a whole lot of things on it, like summary, talk it out like in the front of the class, write a poem, just a whole lot of different things. And two of the boys in my class chose to do the project on my book
Oh
because
wow.
that was an option, and it turned out really funny.
Is your book available at your school library or the public
Yeah,
library? Or...
it is.
Oh
A
wow.
few libraries.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's really nice. So, what are your plans now? You just graduated from high school. What is the next path for you?
Well, I am definitely going to try to not watch as much TV during the summer as I did last summer, and the
Okay.
summer before that, and the summer before that.
Well, it was
Uh,
the pandemic,
yeah,
so you have an excuse.
uh, yeah. But I want to. I'm working on a whole lot of different books right now. I'm working
Yeah.
on the sequel to Hello, Doggo. How are you? I'm working. I'm working on the sequel to the one that I published right now. Although it's kind of hard because writing is kind of hard,
Yeah.
and I have to kill off a couple characters, which is hard. And so I'm kind of procrastinating writing that one and working on other projects that I like more. So but I really do want to finish that one and get it published. That would be cool, just like the first one. So I have that in my future, and I'm going to BYU in the fall. I'm taking classes there. Don't know what my major is going to be, but I'll figure it out.
It's not gonna
And
be English.
probably English. Probably. I
You have
mean,
doubts?
yeah,
Okay.
sure.
What
I'm
else?
not sure. I'm interested in a lot of different things. I'm
Okay.
interested in biology,
Mm.
conservation, psychology, history, just a whole lot of different stuff. But yeah, that's basically my plan for the future. Just write more and try to get published more and get through college, which is that's going to be interesting. That works out.
It'd be great. And so, like, do you ever dream or visualize of being like the next Stephen King? I don't know who's the biggest name of this genre. Let me.
Uh,
Brandon.
probably
No.
Probably, well, I mean, you could go through like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, J.K.
Yeah.
Rowling, and stuff like that. But there are a lot of people that are getting more famous as of right now, like Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah,
That
Brandon
a lot
Sanderson.
of
Yeah.
books, yeah. So that would be cool to be as popular as those
So
guys.
you're gonna be the next Brandon Sanderson.
Oh, I hope he's a really good writer though.
Yeah, yeah, he's a very nice guy. I actually listened to a number of his interviews, and
Oh,
he's
yeah.
actually doing a Kickstarter, or he just finished the
Yeah,
Kickstarter.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. He
amazing.
lied to everyone for a very long time, and then he was like, "Surprise! I wrote four more books because
Yeah.
I don't sleep or I don't eat. I just write."
Yeah, that's true. So okay, I want. So when you the books that you're publishing, are you gonna go with the same agent, same publisher?
Yeah, probably. Although my parents are somewhat against it because it's a hybrid publisher. It's not like a fancy traditional publisher like HarperCollins or other publishers like that, where they do a lot of the marketing and the author can just sit back a little bit. I have to do a lot of the marketing and getting the book out and all this stuff. And t- when my contract was signed, I had to give them $5,000, and then I have to buy 1,000 copies of my book and then sell them to people. That is a lot to do.
Mm, mm.
So even though I get really cool cover art from the publisher, and my book is on stuff outside of Amazon, that's really nice. It is slightly daunting to come up with that amount of money when I want to publish a book with them. So my parents and me are kind of tossing around the idea of self-publishing it, like, but I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. I haven't even written the first draft yet.
Hmm. Yeah. But how did it do the book? How did it sell?
It's actually been selling pretty well. I went around to people in my neighborhood and to farmers markets and sold my book that way, and I make a lot of money that way. So that's kind of cool. I haven't done that for a while because school. But I'm out of school now, so I'm really hoping doing that again. But yeah, it's actually been selling pretty well on Amazon. At least I think overall my efforts on Amazon, I've sold about uh like I sold 500 copies in the first couple of months, which is nice because that's the amount of copies the average traditionally published book sells in like a year. So
Yeah,
at least from their publishing company. So that's really cool. That's a little bit hopeful.
that's really good. So okay, so you're still not sure if you want to self-publish or not. Okay, so I want to talk about feedback. You know, as authors, we always get feedback. Some of them is really good,
Mhm.
and some is really bad. And I want to hear, especially, you're pretty young, and how do you deal with negative feedback? Like for someone who's like
Yeah.
me, I might have a thicker skin. I developed it over time, but for you, like if I think of my daughter, whatever, like how would she deal with that if you ever got any negative feedback?
Well, I did get a lot of negative feedback during the editing process, which you're supposed to get. But for me, as someone who'd never actually given their writing to someone else to read, that was the first time someone had ever like read anything that I had written. It was soul crushing for me, because well, a whole lot of people were critiquing stuff, and I didn't like that. I thought my writing was perfect.
Yeah,
Spoiler alert, it was not perfect. Absolutely not.
nobody's
I
writing is perfect. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I kind of had to learn
Okay.
that negative feedback during the editing process at least is a very good thing. I had made a lot of mistakes on the first couple of drafts of my book, so I that was a self-realization for me. So like I read the comments on the documents that people left, and then I would cry, and then I would eat popcorn and then fix it and then read the comments again. uh yeah, but I got through it. As for negative feedback for my book, it is kind of funny because when I read the negative reviews, I agree with them actually, because this is my first book. It was not perfect. I definitely did not know, at least somewhat, how a medieval kingdom works, at least not all the way. So
How
oh
would you? I mean, I don't know how one would
yeah,
interesting.
yeah, like I actually had to do research on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of people have negative feedback on my book based on like the world building or the dialogue, because it's not like it doesn't fit all the way to that era, and I agree with that. Yes, that is an actual problem that my book has, and some people critique it because it's very YA. It's very YA. I thought I was being smart. I was not. I read like 3 other books with the exact same plot line, at least towards the end, and yeah. But
How do you define very YA? I'm just curious.
I
What's the very
well,
YA?
okay, well, I've read like 4 other books that the main character was in a love triangle with her personal guard and a prince.
Okay.
So that is a trope in YA that is widespread. But and people who just don't like the book in general, like just don't like anything about it, like people are entitled to their opinions. I'm fine with that. But the general reception of people are impressed with the book and they like it, and people have come to me and said that it's helped them with their anxiety, which is amazing. That was an unforeseen side effect. i just wanted to I just wanted to publish the book and have a good time and get my story out, but it's actually starting to help people with expressing themselves and dealing with mental health issues, which is amazing. And so, you know what? As long as I have those people, and I have those really heartfelt written 5-star reviews, and I know that a whole lot of people really like the book. I'm pretty much okay with any negative feedback that people throw my way.
Hmm. So, what is your writing routine? When do you write? How often do you write? Or do you have a routine? Or how does it work for you?
I kind of have a routine, at least in the school year, because I had school and now I have a job, so there's a lot of stuff that takes up my time now. So I basically write at night in my closet.
In your closet?
In my closet, yeah, I have a closet in my room, and there's blankets there and pillows, and it's nice. It's like a closed space where I can just write.
And how do you type on a laptop on your
Yeah, I type on a computer.
do you have a desk there?
No, I just sit in my closet among the blankets and put it
Okay.
in my lap, and then I like turn on some music to add atmosphere and emotion, and then I write.
I like that. And how long do you stay in the closet? Like you're serious?
Well, when it's not night until my parents are like, "Sarah, here's time." But I other than that, I just write until the music can't keep me awake anymore, and then I fall asleep.
In the closet.
Well, I haven't fallen asleep in the closet as of yet. As of yet, I probably will sometime, but
Okay.
I usually
Okay.
go back to my bed and then fall asleep.
Okay. So you're like average 2 hours a day in the closet? Right.
Yeah, I try to write as often as possible. Like if I have like spare moments in between doing stuff. It's summer though, so I do have a lot more free time, and I'm not just gonna be constrained to writing in my closet at night.
I
So
like
that'll be
that. Do you have a picture of the closet? Maybe you can email
no,
it.
but it's basically okay. How about this? It's basically like closet
Ah,
like that.
wow. I see it. I see it. Okay.
This is my room, but it's basically a closet like that.
Ah, okay. Okay, wow. So, okay. So let's say someone your age or like someone who's 15, they wanna follow along your path. What would you tell them? What are the tips that they should take, avoid mistakes to avoid, based, you're an experienced published author now, so you have a lot to say and teach others. What would you tell them? So you have youth, like, what would you tell yourself, your younger self of like, 4 years back?
Well, again, very something that's very helpful is to make connections, get to know people. I have a friend named Kylie who met an author at a convention, and she talked about her book, and the author's agent suggested that she send in the manuscript, so just talking to people can get you published and get you new opportunities. As for just writing, uh, writing at all is extremely helpful. A lot of authors never finish anything. A lot of people who want to get published just don't find the time to actually finish an entire manuscript. So if you do finish an entire manuscript and get it all edited and nice and the best you can, you are miles ahead of everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you just keep writing, and if you have more manuscripts to deal with, it allows you to have a lot more leeway with publishing. And I know a whole lot of authors, including Brandon Sanderson, Tricia Levenseller. I can't name any off the top of my head any more than that. But they wrote a whole lot until they were able to get published.
Mm.
So you just keep writing, and then maybe you can find something that actually lands.
Hmm.
So,
So who are your favorite authors?
well, I really like. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I really, you know what? A lot of my authors that I love, I cannot pronounce their name. I
Okay.
can't for the life of me. But it's either like Lay or Lee, Lay Bardugo.
Okay.
She was the person who wrote.
The ninth. Did she write the ninth? Was it the ninth?
No, but she was the person who wrote Shadow and Bone, Six of Crows, that
Okay.
universe. I really like her,
Okay.
and I like uh two. again,
Yeah.
pronunciations of it, like Tui Sutherland.
Okay.
But she wrote Wings of Fire and the Menagerie series.
Okay.
I really like Wings of Fire. I like dragons.
Mm,
So that's a good one too. And Brandon Sanderson, because he writes a lot of really good stuff. And that's yeah, I like a whole lot of authors basically. Anything that I'm currently reading at the moment, they are my favorite author.
okay. What would you ever change genre, or are you fantasy all the way?
Yeah, I'm basically fantasy and a little bit of sci-fi dystopian. I just love fantasy a little bit too much because for me, I well, there's this thing that I kind of struggle with. I have a lot of social anxiety, and so I kind of feel like, like. mm, I really want people to like me. Basically, I want to be useful, and so reading fantasy where the protagonist is sometimes the only person who can go on this quest and save the world. That's really appealing to me. So I'm totally fine with the chosen one trope because I want that to be me.
Oh, okay. So,
I love going on like sorry, but like
ah,
I
okay.
love main characters who are like all the pressure's on them and they have to complete everything and they're the only one who can do this task, which is mainly only in fantasy, and that's something that I really love. So I'll always love fantasy.
Interesting. So, do you think reading, can help teenagers specifically with social anxiety, or is it writing? Like, do you think reading helped you, and it can help others?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've always read. That's just something that I really love doing, and I was able to just take a break and relax, and especially reading. Reading is really relaxing. I do really like watching TV and movies, but reading is really nice. You can use your imagination. You can just sit down and curl up in a blanket. So that has really helped me with anxiety, and it does with a whole lot of other people with anxiety. Another thing is you can always try journaling or poetry, just writing down your thoughts. Like if you have negative thoughts or if you had a bad day, you can just sit down and write out your feelings, and that's always an option. As for me, I actually this how I write is that I try to take my own character flaws and put them in my characters, and then when the characters go through their arc and be better at the end of the story, it kind of helps me personally. That's what happened with a lot of Stone Cold, because the main character is very anxious. She's a lot like me. She basically has every single character trait that I do to an unreasonable extent. My family read this book and they were asking if it was basically me in the book. It
Hmm.
is kind of basically me in the book, but she has a lot of anxiety and she's very imperfect. And I was able to help her throughout the story, and that was really nice. And it kind of helped me too.
Hmm. Fascinating. Um, so your next book is gonna be the same genre and the same, like, how would the next book differ from Stone Cold?
Well, it's the sequel. So
Hmm.
it's basically the same genre, although the format is a little bit different because in the first book, the main character spends a lot of time just in the palace, in the kingdom, dealing with all this stuff. She's basically like walking around. It's very character driven. But in the second book, it's kind of more plot driven, and there's a lot more scenery, a lot more traveling. It's kind of like more action.
Hmm.
So that's how it's gonna play out.
Hmm. You mentioned something in the beginning of this chat about a writing group, that you have a writing group. So how did you meet the group? What is the age of the group, and do you meet in person or via Zoom?
Well, they're just my age. It's more like an unofficial writing group
Okay.
because I just have a whole lot of friends that are interested in writing, and we live in the same neighborhood. Our houses are really close to each other.
Mhm.
So, as we were taking the bus in the morning, we would just talk about writing ideas and bounce ideas off of each other, character concepts, world building, stuff like that. And that's what we've been doing for years, and I like it. I'm my other friends, again, they're artists, and they kind of like art more than writing, and so both of them write, but I'm the only one who's ever actually finished anything.
Mm.
That's funny, but we still talk about book ideas, and it's really nice.
Why do you think you're the only one who finishes?
uh because I'm not an artist.
I mean,
I don't know.
what makes you keep going?
uh well, it does help that that's the one hobby that I have. My other two friends who are interested in writing, they they like art more than writing, and so they tend to focus on their art. Uh so and I just really like writing more than more than anything. Basically, I
Mhm.
love stories, and my friends don't have that. They're again, they're more focused on drawing, and that's how they express themselves. So they come up with ideas, and they're saying, "Hey, Sarah, um you could use this idea. Can you like steal it from me?" Or, "Sarah, I have this idea and I've outlined literally the entire plot. Can you just type it out for me? Because I don't have the time because I need to paint for 5 hours."
Ah, I see. So, okay, so as you know, I talk to a lot of authors and aspiring authors, and maybe it's just me because that's the word that I'm kind of involved in. But there's a lot of people who want to write books, who are publishing books, who are trying to publish their books. So what would make anyone stand out as a writer or as an author, in your opinion? What would make the writing unique?
Hmm. Well, let's see. Well, me being this young certainly helped. That was kind of nice. A whole lot of people are just impressed because of that. Although, um, a good reason to make your writing unique is to immerse yourself in a lot of different stories, a lot of different cultures. I watch TV from all over the place. I watch Chinese soap operas. I watch anime, which is from Japan,
And
and one really good thing about that is that all these people have different stories and different plots and characters
mm,
that you don't see anywhere else,
mm,
and that lets your writing be a little bit more unique because you're taking concepts from other cultures and and other sources, and if you kind of mash that together, you can create a story that's pretty unique.
yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. Is just being exposed to other cultures. So before we conclude, Sarah, do you have any final thoughts, tips, comments that you would like the readers or the listeners to know about, especially for young authors?
Hmm. Well, anyone who likes writing can definitely just start writing if they want. You don't even have to publish anything. It can just be for yourself. And I'd recommend writing to a whole lot of different people because I think that everyone has a story to tell and everyone has their own unique perspectives on things. And there's certainly not a shortage of stories in the world, but we could always use some more. So if anyone has been thinking about writing or wants to write but is just bogged down by not being able to publish anything, just keep writing. You don't have to publish anything. It's just for yourself. And for me, writing has really helped me dealing with my own character flaws.
Mm,
So you can try that too. And again, I'd always recommend a writing group.
yeah.
Friends are nice, especially if you bounce ideas off of them, because sometimes you have writer's block and a story concept isn't working out as well, and you can get someone's opinion, which is which is always incredibly nice. And yeah, just keep writing. That's my advice.
Great. Well, Sarah, this has been really inspiring. I'm so impressed by your tenacity and by your work, by your dedication, and you inspire me. And I hope I'm sure you inspire others. So please keep doing it. I can't wait to read more of your work and hear more about you. And maybe in a few years you'll be the next J.K. Rowling. Well, keep trying.
Well, maybe not J.K. Rowling. I mean, what she did was sort of impossible, but
No, no. Well, nothing is impossible. So,
yeah.
yeah, but thank you everyone for watching or listening to another episode of Read and Write with Natasha. Until we meet again.